There are many things about being here in Malaysia that make me feel very happy, but also just a few that make me feel quite grumpy.
The first thing that makes me feel happy is walking down the street somewhere in Malaysia and unexpectedly finding a restaurant that has roti canai for breakfast for only 1 ringgit and 40 sen. In fact, I could go out to breakfast every day for an entire year and spend the equivalent of only $120. In the US, I know places where one single meal costs that much. But of course, the portion sizes are a lot bigger in the US. America, my home sweet home. The next thing that makes me feel happy about Malaysia is arriving in Cameron Highlands, and as soon as I step off the bus, I feel that cool, fresh mountain air and see the beautiful and nearly pollution-free blue skies. Cameron Highlands is the only place where we have been in Malaysia where beads of sweat don't form on the top of my bald head when Emily and I have been out walking for less than 5 minutes. Interacting with the people here might be the thing that makes me feel the most happy about being in Malaysia. One example of this happened when Emily and I were having dessert at a cafe, and this man walked over to our table and handed Emily a piece of paper. It was a portrait of her that he drew while we were eating our dessert. Another example happened when a convenience store worker in Langkawi gave me a can of A&W root beer for free for no apparent reason. And on our most recent visit to Cameron Highlands, our Airbnb host from 5 years ago spent 2 days taking us sightseeing and also took us to visit the family farm. The point I'm trying to make is that it makes me feel very happy to spend time with Malaysians because they are some of the friendliest people in the world. Until they start driving. Once a Malaysian gets into their car or onto their motorcycle, all beauty and sunshine melts away and they become transformed into hideous and terrifying monsters. Sometimes drivers will run red lights, sometimes they don't obey the rules, sometimes they use pedestrians crossing the street as target practice, and sometimes they use pedestrians walking on the sidewalk as target practice. Being a pedestrian here in Malaysia is one thing that makes me feel grumpy. As I continue on with the rest of my amazingly perfect list of things that make me feel happy and grumpy about Malaysia, let me know in the comments which of the things that I'm talking about also make you feel happy or grumpy. Walking down the street in Malacca so that I can pick out which trishaw wins the award for being the most creative also makes me happy. I actually think that some of these trishaws have become works of art. It seems like Hello Kitty is the most popular theme for a trishaw in Malacca. If I were to stand on the side of the road and keep a tally of each cartoon character on a trishaw, Hello Kitty would win hands down. I personally prefer the Minions. Sorry, Hello Kitty. The natural beauty of Malaysia is something else that makes me feel very happy, along with the ability to see orangutans here in Malaysia. We visited a sanctuary in Sarawak just outside of Kuching, and also a sanctuary near Taiping, and I hope these beautiful animals can continue to survive here in Malaysia. Driving on the highway near Taiping and finding an entire restaurant that is owned and operated by the Ramly Company and serving nothing but Ramly products makes me happy. If you're not familiar with Ramly products, by the way, I'll just say that they produce the best burger patties in the world. When I buy a pack of frozen Ramly burger patties at the grocery store, and I want to cook just one patty, but all 6 patties are stuck together and frozen in one big clump, and the little pieces of wax paper that separate the patties won't pull the patties apart, even with a knife, that drastically lowers my quality of life in Malaysia and makes me grumpy. In Malaysia, when I go to the pharmacy, the over-the-counter medications and vitamins are usually grouped by brand, not by type. At first, this made me grumpy. I'm used to seeing all the brands of vitamin C on the same shelf next to each other. But after a while, I actually like the way the pharmacies in Malaysia do it better because I always buy the same brand anyways. Walking by a grocery store in Kuching and seeing a special celebration for the new year makes me happy too. Getting lost in Penang, but then a friendly stranger kindly explains directions to you? Yeah, that makes me happy too. The traffic in KL can get pretty bad sometimes, So being able to take a train to get around KL instead of having to drive, yeah, that makes me really happy. Walking along the beach in Penang and suddenly being asked to judge a sandcastle contest makes me happy. Eating strawberries right at the farm where they were freshly picked in Cameron Highlands makes me happy. And so does having a cup of tea at one of the tea plantations in Cameron Highlands. When it's crazy hot in Malaysia and suddenly a rainstorm passes through, causing the temperature to cool down, that's definitely a happy feeling. Walking through the absolutely enormous air-conditioned shopping malls in KL, or pretty much in any other city in Malaysia, is a great way to escape the heat and humidity. But when it's way too hot in Penang, I like to cool off by going for a swim in the pool. But when it's way too hot in Ipoh, I don't cool off by going for a swim in the pool, and that's because to use the pool at our apartment building, men are required to wear Speedos. And yeah, wearing Speedos is not one of the goals that I have for my life, and I think the whole world appreciates that they will never see me in Speedos. That not being able to go swimming in our apartment's pool in Ipoh makes me grumpy. When asking a Malaysian a yes or no question, such as asking a waiter, "Can I have some ketchup please?" they will often reply by saying can instead of yes. I'm not really sure why, but I like that for some reason. Going to a great nasi kandar restaurant in Penang called Line Clear, only to find out that it's closed for no apparent reason, is irritating, but the fact that there are several other nasi kandar restaurants in the area makes up for it. And many nasi kandar restaurants are open 24 hours here, and it makes me happy to know that if I wake up at 3:30 in the morning because I was having a nightmare about being deprived of nasi kandar, I can go out in the middle of the night and get some. When I walk by a durian stand and I take in the smell, and my brain initially thinks, that smells sweet and delicious, similar to strawberries or pineapple, that makes me happy. But then my brain gets confused and says, no, it doesn't smell like sweet strawberries. It smells worse than my grandfather's stinky shoes. When my brain plays that trick on me, then I feel grumpy. The healthcare in Malaysia is absolutely fantastic. What makes it so great? The low cost of healthcare, especially compared to the US. The quality of the healthcare is some of the best in the world. Quite often, same-day or next-day appointments are available, and interacting with English-speaking staff removes any worries about a language barrier. Hiking in the mossy forest makes me happy, and so does getting into an elevator with other passengers, and they actually talk to you. Going to the factory in Ipoh where they make fresh pineapple tarts makes me happy. Arriving back in Ipoh 5 years later and feeling excited about going to the pineapple tart factory to find out that it's closed for renovation, that makes me grumpy. Having two very friendly tour guides explain how Malaysia's famous white coffee is created by roasting coffee beans and margarine at a coffee factory in Perak makes me feel happy. I've been trying to get the battery replaced in an old cell phone for several years, and I am happy to say that, finally, after searching for repair shops in multiple countries, I finally found a shop in KL that was able to replace the battery for my old Pixel 2 phone. Going for a boat ride in Malacca at night when it's all lit up is another happy moment for me, along with walking across the Saloma Bridge in KL when it's all lit up. Having to pay only 1 ringgit to ride the bus in Kuching makes me happy, but what makes me even more happy is riding an electric bus in Kuching for free. Eating Sarawak laksa makes me happy, which actually surprised me because it's a little bit spicy, but still delicious. Seeing the Malaysian people feeling so proud of their country, especially during the patriotic holidays, makes me happy. Getting on the Clia Express train or the bus to head to the airport, well, we only do that when it's time to leave Malaysia, and having to leave Malaysia makes me grumpy.